Here's Wilson, and on the right circle, he scores!
Rebound loose, wild scramble in front, score! Ovechkin with a buzzer beater! It'll count!
And the hat trick tonight, number 21,
Hello and welcome once again to the Power Play Point podcast. This is the Blue Liner on Point, and joining me again is my friend Anna Knox.
Hello.
Hello, Anna. Wow. So last night, let's just tell the story. Last night, I kind of feel like I just got home from a party.
Right? I know. It was so great. I was smiling. I just had such just a cool freaking experience. So yeah, way cool. Robbie Gross and Carroll Porter III. Awesome guys. Super sports knowledgeable, super nice, super friendly, super supportive, and I can't say enough nice things about them.
Yeah, absolutely. And okay, so for those of you listening that don't know what in the hell we're talking about, last night, actually earlier in the week, we were invited, and I say we, the both of us, but Robbie sent me a text early last week. I'd like to have both you and Anna come on for a roundtable discussion on our show, and that, of course, being the Sports on the Hill podcast. And that one, as I've mentioned many times before, airs Monday evenings at 7 Eastern on Facebook Live. And so they both asked us both to go on there for a roundtable discussion about mainly, Caps hockey and goings-on as far as the last week and the season as a whole. And is a pretty good discussion. So we're actually going to keep it short this week because a lot of stuff we normally cover was covered last night on their show. So just going to go over a few things here, some important stuff about the show itself, our show that is, and sign off, and then going to tack on the segment. It's about, if I recall, 20, 25, 30 minutes long, I think.
I think so.
Yeah, it's about that. And I'm going to tack it on this week's episode, so you all can listen if you didn't catch it. Again, that's the Sports on the Hill podcast. If you do a search within Facebook for Sports on the Hill, I will also be posting the archive link in the description of the show. Do please download. Please download. We need more, as many as we can get. So that's a good. I'll post it in the description of the show, so you can find it at our site page at blueliner77.podbean.com. I will also be posting it on my Twitter at blueliner98. And Anna, once again, where can they reach you?
They can reach me Twitter also at Anox49. And Instagram at Aquanox49. And I do actually, I'm on Facebook quite often. I'm realizing that lately I've been on it a lot more than I used to. So I'm also on Facebook. I'm part of True Caps and Nova Caps and all these other Caps groups. So I'm in there somewhere. So message me anytime. I'd love to hear from you guys.
Yeah, great. We both would love to. And my personal email, if you have a question that you want talked about or read on the show, glhallowed@yahoo.com. Love to hear from you through any of those mediums. You mentioned being on Facebook. We're the word's starting to leak out a little bit. I was surprised. I mean, Robbie and Carroll both said they liked, my appearance the first time around a few weeks ago, but I was kind of surprised they asked us both. We're starting to get a little more well known, and I'm liking it.
Are you getting a little cocky, Gail? A little bit?
No.
A little bit? Come
No,
on.
no.
Little fame going to your head?
It's not like that. I just like that.
No, I feel the same way. I think it's awesome. I don't see who hears our show or who downloads it. I know I push the out of it to my friends and family just to be like, hey, if you love me, listen. And some do and some don't, which is fine. I'll just not be friends with you guys. But no, so I think it's good. I think it's good, and I think it's fun to hook up with other people who are doing a podcast. Which I just noticed that I know you're not an Alan May fan, but I think he has a podcast now. Is that right? Did you see? Has it always had one, or is this?
I don't know if he has one. I know the NBC Sports Washington crew has a Caps podcast, and I've caught a few of them. It's all right. I mean,
all right.
you know my feelings on just about most of those folks.
Yes, I do.
So won't get into that. Now speaking of Alan May.
Yes.
I understand that you had a bit of something of a meet with him recently.
I did. It wasn't just a meet and greet. No, I signed my kids up to be Caps Kids, which is a great little organization for kids, I guess anywhere between the ages of like 1 and 12, maybe 1 and 10.
Very cool.
And you get for $20, like this is awesome. We got a sports bag, like a duffel bag, a blanket, a nightlight, and then you get free passes. Like I think we got 4 or 5 free passes to the skating rinks in the area. So really cool. So then they also send you these little notices, and they'll say, hey, come to this event, just for kids, or it's this. Well, this one happened to be on Saturday at the wharf.
Nice, yeah.
If you and the wife can get out there, it's gorgeous. And they have an outdoor rink. So we had a chance to go. We had the rink to the Caps Kids for an hour. Great turnout, awesome weather, Slapshot. Stinger was there from
the CBJ.
Yeah, there you go. The New Jersey Devil. And then out comes Alan May. And it was so cool. And you know what? He skated for about a half hour. He spoke to everybody. And I know this is going to sound ridiculous because I do a hockey podcast, but this little mermaid here does not know how to skate. So I didn't need to embarrass myself in front of my children, so I let my husband let them go, and I took pictures, and he then said, hey, would you mind taking a picture with my wife, who's a big fan of yours? And he came over and was beyond friendly. Did ask why I wasn't on the ice, and I had to tell him because I don't know how to skate, and he kind of made fun of me for that, but very personable, very, very nice. He talked with everybody that came up. He took loads of pictures. It was really cool. So I like the guy. And when I sent you that message, you kind of like, Alan May. But whatever. Well, I like the guy.
All right. Oh, okay. So I'm sure he's a nice guy. Let's just say we've had disagreements in the past. And in
the past.
Right. Okay. So all right. So for our friends in the Commonwealth of Virginia, the state of Maryland, and the District of Columbia, let's drop the puck. All right, so when we last left you, we were speaking about the goings-on with the Caps. The last game that they had was against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they ended that on a high, and they were headed into a homestand that began after a 4-day layoff.
Mm-hmm.
And the beginning of that homestand, didn't go very well. It was against the Kings, and we all know the score by now. It's a 5-2 ending. The score isn't, I think, was not indicative of how the game actually went. Kings got a couple empty net goals at the end. You take those away, then it's 3-2. You take away the 2 goals that were scored in rapid succession in the second period, then it's not a loss at all. And so I understand.
That's a bit of a stretch.
Well, I get that, but they were, and we talked about this last night on Sports on the Hill. They might have been a little flat-footed. It might have been a little too long of a layoff. And I mean, in the Toronto game, I was surprised they didn't face the number one goalie, Frederick Anderson. They faced the backup, Curtis McElhaney. And it's a big leap going from that to facing the Kings and
Jonathan Quick, right?
A two-time Stanley Cup winner, a perennial Vezina favorite, year in and year out. And
he's a bit of a badass, I have to admit. But
that was, I think that was maybe not to make excuses for the team, but maybe a bit too much. But as I said, I mean the main thing was that 9-second lapse, and the Caps were playing well up to that point, and before you could say Mekaleka High, McElhaney's 5-hole, boom, behind. They were playing.
It's a nice little Pee Wee Herman plug there.
Yeah, glad you recognized that.
Right. Okay. Again, I said it last night, but I don't agree with you. I thought if you're going to say, but if you take this away and you take this away, okay, well, just about every game you could do that. But they came out and scored, and it was good. And then, I don't know, I felt like maybe after the first period, we just lost them. And then you get, 2 goals in 9 seconds sucked. And what it should have done is rallied the team to say, holy shit, this is no joke. Let's get our shit together and let's go. But that wasn't the case. They fell flat. They looked tired. And it was, you give them those 4 days off and you think, okay, you still have practice, though, and you still have, things to do. And I know during that time frame of pictures that I saw of Wilson and Kuzi and stuff, I told you that they went to hospitals to see patients with cancer and things like that. So they weren't doing, I wasn't seeing, well, I don't know, maybe late night they were all partying, but I doubt it. But I didn't see that kind of stuff. And so just to have 4 days off isn't a reason to say, maybe we shouldn't go up against Jonathan Quick yet. No, they should always be ready to go. They weren't that night.
I wasn't saying they weren't ready because of the level of competition. Of course you have to rise to the level of competition. I'm just saying it's a big leap to go from, a backup whose career average is in the high 3s and 4s and to a dominant number one goalie who's world class, who's represented his country. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
It was a big leap. No, it's not an excuse, but I'm just saying it's a big leap in competition. Then you had the 4-day layoff. I think that contributed, but no, it's not an excuse. It's just stuff that happened to be a part of. And you got young guys who are still dealing with the goings on of a full NHL schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think between all of that, and again, not to make excuses for them, but that all, and despite all of that, they still managed to play well for some of the game. It's just, I don't know, they somehow in the second period they just let down, and it didn't, I don't know, they couldn't carry through. Now, the next game after that, against the Blue Jackets, they showed a lot more grit and a lot more spirit.
Yep.
That was your classic back and forth game, with the Caps going up and then the Jackets catching up, and then there was the game tying goal that was a shorthanded goal, and that is usually a backbreaker. That's the stake in the heart that usually gets you, and a lot of teams can't recover from that, but
right.
Where they could have let down, they didn't. They held it together and they pulled ahead and eventually won. So much better effort overall in that game.
I agree, and I said it yesterday. I felt like the Kings game, they were out of sync, and not just kind of sloppy plays and penalties and things like that. And then this game, it was a lot tighter. They just seemed more together, more consistent, and I thought it was good. And then again, here comes the lovely social media. 48 hours prior to the game on Saturday, everyone was absolutely disgusted and hating on Chason. And then here he comes and scores, 2 days later, and everyone's like, oh, yay, hey, way to go. Look at you. You're awesome. It's like, ugh. I hate that. Like, there's part of me that just needs to not read some of the social media. I know it all, the people who think they know it all stuff, but, yeah, that was just annoying. Like, the guy doesn't bother me as much as he bothers other people. Man, people were brutal with him. I'm not saying he had a great game against the Kings. Obviously, he didn't. But don't go throw him under the bus and then 48 hours put him on a pedestal and you're, like, out buying his jersey. It's like, give me a break. So, yeah, that was my little moment on Saturday. Between that and I'm just going to say this, and I've not said it since the season started, but I swear to God that Paisanos commercial, I freaking hate it. I hate it so much. And they have, like, their pizza is fine, but I can't order it because I hate the freaking commercial. And my boy Tommy's in it. But I mean, I really, like, every time, and so there's a couple guys on Twitter, and I wish I could see them face to face. Like, I'd have beers with them in a heartbeat because they're always, like, giving me a hard time about it because they think it's funny, like, that we all hate this commercial. But when it comes on, I'm just like, man, it's a freaking local commercial. It's awful. Locker, I mean, it's terrible. It's terrible, 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 and I need it to go off the air.
What you want them to do about that?
Yeah, just stop.
I'm sorry. I couldn't resist.
So, no. Yeah, what you want? I want you to get off the air. So that was my Saturday. I thought it was a great game. It was, they looked awesome. I was glad for Connolly, minus Stevenson was injured. So
yeah,
that was a bummer.
Yeah.
That was a big bummer. But, so my little bone to pick was just the throwing Chase on under the bus and that frickin' Paisanos commercial.
Well, I mean, look, our fan base is no different than any fan base.
I know.
Well,
I know.
You're gonna have fickle fans that hate one guy one day and then love him the next as soon as he does good. Brett Conley's a bit of an example of that. He got benched for a few games, and as soon as he comes back, he scores a goal, and same thing. Everybody loves him again, and oh, what a great decision, put him back.
Right.
So you're gonna have that. You're gonna have that element.
You are. It just when it shows up, like, these. It is. It's like the coaches on the sidelines. The coaches from the couches is really what they are. Like and they think that they know everything and they're voicing their opinion, and sometimes it's just a little too harsh. It's like, and I think your guy that kind of drives you nuts is Eller, right?
Well, I don't hate him. It's just
No. But what do you always say? Like, he giveth and taketh away.
The Lars giveth and the Lars taketh away. Yeah, he's
right.
his game is so yin yang. It's ridiculous. But no, I mean he does good things out there, and then he'll do something equally bad to take it away. I think last night and in Columbus lately, I think he's been a little bit more consistent. Not as loud offensively, but a little bit more consistent in his play. So that's definitely good to see. But something else that kind of struck me funny about the game against Columbus. And Mrs. Blueliner pointed this out to me the other day. Not a single penalty call against the Caps. Not one.
I know. It was kind of odd, right?
I was surprised about that.
Yeah. That was odd.
I was waiting for a makeup call, something, anything, but not one.
That's a good thing.
I mean, in a season where they've struggled to stay out of the box, like you fed the cat X-Lax or something, no penalties. I'm still in shock about it.
Yeah. Well, they made up for it last night.
Yeah, well, we're going to get to that here. So last night's game, and it aired as we were on Sports on the Hill. So all four of us during the roundtable had eyes on that. And I just want to say I kind of feel like it's us or at least one of us being on their show and a live game is kind of, I don't know. Devontae Smith-Pelly needs to hope and pray that there's more of that, because when I was on November 7th on show 76, he scored the first goal. When we were on last night, he scored the first goal.
Right. So you're feeling little rabbit foot luck there.
Maybe so. But I'm kidding, of course. But
Are you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
He does what he does, which is puts himself in front of the net and causes traffic in front. And then last night, what he did was he got a pretty good deflection on what began as a muffed shot by All-American hero John Carlson, and in it went. And it was a great thing to see. Now, so we're just going to jump right into the elephant in the room, and that is the fact that not all 20-plus players made it out unscathed. There was the injury last night to T.J. Oshie. Not fun to see, and so basically what happened was he was involved in clearing the puck out of the zone. Puck was gone for at least 3 seconds, and so Joe Thornton decides to skate over and basically... Joe Thornton. That's what I said, Joe Thornton.
I thought you called him Joel. Just checking.
No, it's
Jumbo Joe.
It's Joel Ward, Joe Thornton.
Okay.
But yeah, Thornton comes over and basically runs into T.J. Oshie in what amounts to what looks like basically a stink face.
Pretty much.
Rammed into him with his ass. I don't care what you call it, the butt head butt, ass face, ass hat. People have been calling it different things. I don't care. It was illegal to me.
Yeah, I agree.
It looked that way, and of course, no penalty was called, which is ridiculous because I don't know if that wasn't a late hit, and obviously it had impact because it took the guy 5 minutes to recover and get back on his feet. But if that is not the definition of a late hit, I don't know what the hell is.
Right, I agree.
6-7 players left skate shavings by the time the contact was made. The puck was out of the zone. I sound like friggin' John McEnroe here arguing a call. I shouldn't have to go to this extreme on what should be obvious. But I'm climbing. Forget a soapbox right now. Okay, I'm going to climb on top of whatever, the top of the Capital One Arena if I have to at this point to shout it out. I'm
pissed.
Yeah, I'm going to issue right now. I'm going to issue a $20 challenge to anybody that's willing to bet me that there will be a hearing for Joe Thornton. I'm willing to bet anybody that amount of money there will not be. You watch. I'm pretty sure. We haven't heard anything today. So it's a pretty safe bet for me. I'll admit I'm doing this. I'm being facetious, of course. I won't have $20 till I get paid in 5 months. But the fact of the matter is, this is as obvious a call as should be. That was the definition of a late hit, and late hits are penalized and or punished by the league and have been. And if this goes unpunished, then this is, to me, just as bad as the effed up goalie interference calls they can't seem to get right. All the other missed calls, the muffed offsides calls they can't figure out how to do. Okay, this is just as bad or worse because it involves a player being injured, which they're trying to reduce. Okay.
Well, and a head injury.
Right, exactly,
So,
exactly.
That's where I draw the line. Is there's always those
Backstrom!
calls, and last season there was that Sidney Crosby moment, bashing the head in the ice and just being in and whatever. This I watched it and it's like, man, that's just, if he doesn't have a concussion, I'll be shocked. The fact that they have him on day to day tells me that Oshie, because he didn't go to practice today, so he's day to day, tells me that it is a concussion because they've got to watch how he progresses and monitor him for the next couple of days. So that's some scary shit.
Yeah, no, you're right, and that's what I was about to say. You beat me to the punch. Speaking of punch, gotta love the jacking of the jaw by one Mr. Tom Wilson later on.
That's right, it's my boy.
Probably the only retribution, the only justice we will see out of this at all. But he's officially day to day, and I suppose that's better than week to week. But yeah, no, you're right. That's not good to see, and you wonder if it's a flat-out concussion or concussion-like symptoms,
right?
Which can be iffy at best. But yeah, you never ever want to see that. But I'm glad that the Caps did not use that as an excuse to let the game get out of hand. Now, it did get physical. It did get chippy a lot into the game, but they didn't lose their emotional grip on the game. I'm glad to see that. A lot of emotional maturity I'm seeing from this team. That's a very, very good sign. Between not letting a shorthanded goal get you down and not letting the emotions of the game, seeing a beloved teammate go down to injury in at best a questionable play.
Right.
A lot of emotional maturity I'm seeing from this team, and that they're going to be the better for. That's going to pay dividends down the road. So they came away with the 4-1 win. And let's see, the scores were, as I mentioned, Devontae Smith-Pelly, captain, gets his 20th. Mm-hmm. And speaking of 20th, I think that put him all alone in 20th position all time for goals scored.
Yes.
Connolly gets another goal to bring them up 3-1, and Jacob Vrana, assisted by, guess who, Tom Wilson and Dmitry Orlov, gets his 8th for the pizza goal. So I think that's the second time Vrana's done that. I half expect him to go suit up in a Papa John's uniform one of these days.
Glad you said Papa John's and not Paisanos, because I would have been really pissed if you had said that. Because I'd be like, that's it. I'm hanging up. We're done here.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, you would have. You just didn't think as quickly as I did. Come on now.
Maybe.
You gotta be on your feet, on your toes.
Sitting on my ass, actually.
Yeah, if I told you what I'm doing right now, you probably wouldn't believe me.
I don't think I want to know. I don't think we can air it anyway.
It's all right. I'll say it's not that bad, but it's just random as hell, which is sort of suits my personality. Maybe I'll share it at the end of the show.
Maybe.
No, I said last night, and I'm going to say it again. Liking number 13. Rana is becoming like my little Tom Wilson, like tiny Tom Wilson. That guy had a great Instagram site. I don't know where he is this year, but yeah, teeny tiny Tom Wilson. Like, he's little guy. But man, quick as hell, good guy. And you know what? I still absolutely love to see when a player score, that infectious smile and that energy, and I think he's just got it. He's finally kind of coming into his own. Is he going to get his ass kicked at some point? Probably. It's not going to be pretty, but you know what? As long as he keeps playing well, and he looks like he truly loves the sport, I love him. I think he's great.
Yep, yeah, I agree, and he is rapidly becoming my favorite number 13 for the Capitals since Randy Burridge back in the mid-90s, early 90s. Name that and claim it, you who have followed the team as long as I have.
Yeah, see, in the early 90s, and just ironically, so 91 was when the Sharks started to play in the Bay Area. So I was in, I don't know, aging myself here, ending my high school career.
I was going to say, you were just probably getting into grade school or something, weren't you?
No, yeah, right. I wish. No, so I was, you had that little memory, and then I think back to, so watching the Sharks last night was, it was cool. I think Robbie and I had both agreed that they're sort of like a West Coast Caps team.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, sorry. Not really, but come on. But I liked it. So I thought it was a great game last night. Did Thornton blow it for me and piss me off? Yeah, absolutely. And then his apology afterwards, I don't know.
Yeah, well,
it was an apology, okay?
Yeah,
Was it?
Well, not. Yeah, it was a half-assed apology, pun intended. No, I thought Tom Wilson's reaction to it was much more mature. He admitted,
I did too.
He admitted, hey, the guy was one of my favorite players growing up, but I didn't appreciate what he did. But at least he manned up and answered my challenge. But still didn't like what he did. And he was. I read an article. It was I think it was either the Post.com or the paper itself where Tom Wilson was actually praised on the diplomatic way he said everything. There's a line and obviously he's learned from his time in D.C. how to give the classic political answer or something like that.
He's learned how to
Backstrom!
like all the politicians, and now it's carried over to sports.
And
that's
that too.
Hey, whatever.
That too. Okay, so just one last comment on last night's game. And it's going to be a bit of a silly one here. Why not? That's what we do here at the Power Play Point podcast.
That's what you do, and then I make fun of you for it because I'm like, really, Gil?
Sure.
All right, let's hear it.
Yeah. Well, of course, we've all seen it by now, but Mrs. Blue Liner was the first to point it out to me when I finally got a chance to sit down with her and watch the game. After Connolly's goal, there was that scene on the bench where Kuznetsov tried to give him the fist bump, and Connolly was kind of staring out into space or something. I don't know what planet he thought he was on, but he'd sit there with his fist up, and Kuzi was just, okay, well, the heck with this. I'll just give myself a fist bump.
Right, that was great.
And that went viral, and that it was just hilarious to see, and I think it was Devontae Smith-Pelly at the end after the game. He was interviewed and said, "Yeah, that's pretty much sums up both their personalities. One likes to have fun. One's real serious."
I was just gonna say that if somebody hasn't already seen it, then to please watch the Smith-Pelly interview, because when they showed it to him for the first time and his laugh and everything, it was great. Because that does sum it up. It seemed like Stevenson. Kind of came off the ice. Now, remind me, is Steven now? God, I'm trying to think of if it was Stevenson. Who was it a couple of episodes ago when I said to not interview this person because they seem like such?
That was Chason, and yeah.
Was it Chason?
Yeah, we talked about that, and he's.
I thought it was Stevenson.
No, it was Chason, and I said, well, yeah, he's a Quebecois, and he talked like this, he classic French Canadian accent, and
stop.
Why?
Stop.
Why stop?
Just don't.
Why not?
Dude, yeah.
Why not?
No, don't.
Why not?
Because I.
You don't like it when I talk like a French Canadian?
No, I don't. No.
Okay.
No. I don't. Was it Chason?
Note to self: how to irk Anna.
Yeah, I asked my husband about how I feel about imitations because he does it all the time, and I've just gotten to the point where I just say no, and that's just become our thing, because my kids may find it funny and his sister finds him hysterical. But I'm like, I don't know why you think you sound like, Sammy Davis Jr. or whomever. And yeah, the other day, I won't get into it. So yes, imitations I'm not a huge fan of, but if that's your thing, Gil, go ahead. We'll add it to our list of differences.
All right. Well, at least, I'm not gonna. I'm still kind of curious, but as far as what exactly you're doing, but Blue Liner's not gonna get any bluer here, so I'm still gonna be satisfied to remain blissfully ignorant as far as that goes. Okay, so that's.
Admit you want to know.
Well,
I know you want to know.
Well, maybe after we go off the air.
Okay.
Okay. So that was that, and it was the. Let's see here. Okay, so that was the Caps' 16th win of the season. Good to see. Now, unfortunately, like I keep harping on all year, it's just another drop in the bucket in what's going to be a long season, because everybody else keeps on winning too, as evidenced by what I'm about to read here in the standings, at least in the Metro Division.
Sorry.
No problem. Okay, so on top still, 27 games played, 17-9-1, 35 points, sit the Columbus Blue Jackets. Second place are the New York Islanders, 26 games played.
Okay, let's go back to that. I meant to ask you. You know what? No, I'll ask you when we're off the air.
Okay. Anyway. 16-8-2 is their record, 34 points, one behind. Then the New Jersey Devils, same amount of games played, 15-7-4, 34 points. And then that team we love to hate from Steeltown, 28 games played, 15-10-3, 33 points in fourth place. Tied with them, same amount of games played, one more win, 16-11-1, 33 points. Our Washington Capitals. Now tucked into a 2-game win streak. Behind them, 3 points behind, New York Rangers. 26 games played, 14-10-2, 30 points. Behind them, the Carolina Hurricanes, 25 games played, 11-9-5, 27 points. And bringing up a rear and in an absolute abysmal tailspin, so much so that the fans of this team are beginning to loudly call for the coach's head, and some would say rightly so, are the Philadelphia Flyers, who just actually, I think they broke.
They just won.
They
did last
finally
night.
broke the losing streak, which reached, I think, 10 games.
I think so. Or no, I think. Yeah, no, it would have been 10 games. I think they were on a 9.
9, and it was right. So last night, if they lost, okay, gotcha. 27 games played, 9-11-7. 25 points.
Ouch.
Okay. Yeah. But 10 points behind, they get themselves on a monster winning streak. They're right back in it. And again, that's how, competitive things have been. With not just the Metro Division, but in the league as a whole. So can't afford to get in too deep or too long of a funk, or you're going to find yourself out of it. And as good as the Caps have been playing, you see where they sit. They're tied for fourth. And technically, I believe they're in a wild card slot, because the third best team they actually have more points than the third best team in the Atlantic, which is the Canadiens. So they're fine as far as making the playoffs, but you want to do as well as you can for home ice.
Right.
But that's just another example of how every win counts. Okay, so that's going to do it as far as the hockey talk. Now, we have a little bit of administrative duties as far as the Power Play Point podcast show itself goes. It is the end of the year, and this would be the first time I'm actually appealing broadly to our listener base. But usually at the beginning of the year, the service that hosts our data, our show, which is, of course, Podbean, they say, okay, well, we got to collect your storage fee and all that. And that's something of a pretty penny. So I hate to turn this into PBS and turn this into a pledge drive, but you, the loyal listeners out there, if you can donate whatever you can, whatever little you want, it doesn't matter to me. And if you don't feel like donating, we're not going to hate you. It's fine. I get it. It's time of the year where budgets may be a little tight, directed towards Christmas and the holidays and all that. I get that, but we would really, really appreciate it if you would go to either the show site at blueliner77.podbean.com. There's a donate button. You can donate through a PayPal account there. And this, whatever you donate will greatly be appreciated and be a big help towards defraying costs. I'm actually also looking to get some new equipment to reduce the number of technical difficulties that we tend to have every now and again. And we won't be reliant on things like free Skype and whatnot. We can actually put out a little better sound quality that we feel that you guys deserve for being so loyal to us. So that between the cost of the storage and the new equipment that we're hoping to get, and also the new equipment will also help, because what I'm looking to do, what I would love to do this coming year is do 1 or 2 live events. As well as stuff like I'm not sure. I'm sure I can figure out how to set it up, but I'd like to go live, do a live simulcast with the guys from Sports on the Hill, for example. We've been kicking it around last couple of days. So I'd like to do stuff like that. I'd like to do live events for with Nova Caps fans in Maryland and wherever in the Delmarva area. So some new equipment that we would be able to pick up based on your donations would also help towards that, so we can bring the show to you guys. So we're always looking to expand the listenership, always looking to bring, the sole purpose of that is to bring Caps fans all together and as one big family. So whatever you feel like donating, I would greatly appreciate it. Anna would appreciate it, of course, as well.
Absolutely.
Bring us all together and make the show better. And that's all we want to do, is make the show constantly better for you, the listener. And so again, whatever you feel like donating, again, greatly appreciated. Please go to the website or contact me at my email, glhallowed@yahoo.com. You want to set that up through an alternate means of donation, I'm open to that as well. It doesn't have to be through PayPal. So that'll be, that'd be great. If all of you out there could do that, I would humbly appreciate it. All right, so that's going to do it for this edition of the Power Play Point podcast. Of course, we talked about our appearance on Sports on the Hill last night, both Anna and I, and I think it was. I think you'll agree, Anna, it was a pretty rocking discussion. We had a hell of a good time.
It was awesome, and I would gladly chat with those guys again, definitely.
Oh, I'm sure we will. So, like I said, down the road, hoping to get those guys on our show. I'm not quite sure of the logistics of it yet, but we'll figure something out, definitely. So it's that's Carroll Porter III and Robbie Gross, the host of that show. Do a search on Facebook, Sports on the Hill Podcast, and I will be posting both the archive link and the show link on our description when this gets uploaded, so you'll be able to catch that link to their podcast. They asked me to give a shout out to them. I am more than happy and willing to do that. So without further ado, here is our segment from last night, Sports on the Hill. Let's go Caps.
Go Caps.
Live hockey game. We're going to bring in a couple of our guests right about now. I want to bring in Gil first, and I know that we've had Gil on the show. Gil, how are you doing today?
Pretty good.
good watching the game. Like the one I'm seeing so far, it's a good competitive game. Thanks again for having us on, guys. Really appreciate it.
No problem, Gil. Love having you on the first time. Good to have you on again, man, especially with a live game. So definitely going to get your take on it. So let Robbie go ahead and fire away. I know I had a couple of things he wanted to ask you about first.
Yeah, for sure. And then so I just want to give a shout out to the Power Play Point podcast. It's a great show. Last week, or a couple weeks ago, they did a little bit of our segment that we had with Gil last time. We appreciate the love for them. And I'm a big fan of their show as well. And so I want to bring in Gil's co-host, who hasn't been on our show yet. So, Anna, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you so much for having me on. This is amazing.
No problem, no problem. Glad to have you on. Look good to have some other hockey aficionados on that we can talk some hockey with.
Well, there you go. And also, big congratulations to 80 episodes to both of you. That's great.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, we love doing it. It's a year and a half that's gone by quick. It's amazing how fast it's gone by, but we love doing it. We bring it to you every Monday night. We love our teams, and we love doing this, so it's a joy and a privilege.
That's great. You can tell. So I'm glad to be on tonight. And I am a Bay Area girl, so I'm rooting for the Caps 100%. I grew up not far from the San Jose Sharks, so it'll be a fun game to watch tonight.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely entertaining so far.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that are actually Sharks and Caps fans. I would say of all the fandoms, they may have the most cross fandom of anyone that I know, at least for the Caps, because they don't play that often. I know a lot of people that live in the Bay Area or used to, and then they move here and vice versa. And I've always kind of thought of the Sharks as a little bit of the West Coast Capitals. It's funny, there's been many seasons where they've had very sort of mirror images of each other and have very similar play styles at times. It makes for a great hockey game every time that they come together. As I said, the last 2 years I actually lost both those games, so I was like, I'd rather be doing a podcast than try to make this out for 3. So I'm hoping that tonight we've got better luck here with having these great podcasters on the show. A couple of quick questions I had. I'll start with Gil. Gil, what were some of your thoughts on the up and down week, the Kings, and I know that we did much better in the Columbus Blue Jackets game.
The Kings game, if you think about it, the score is not or was not really indicative of what happened. If you think about it, if not for 9 seconds of bad play, the outcome could have been very different. Add to that, the Kings have actually been playing very, very well of late. They're actually leading their division right now. So it's not last year's team, not at all. They fired their coach. John Stevens took over. Much more offensive minded this year, and it was to be expected that they would come out swinging a little harder, at least on the other side of the red line. And I think with this, and I heard the preview before. CP3 kind of alluded to this, and that they showed some signs of rust with that 4-day layoff after the Toronto game. So I think that kind of caught them a little off guard. But it wasn't a horrible game, but a little bit more effort might have been a different outcome. And then you had the game against the CBJ, and it started well. I think they kind of faded towards the end. And I think if not for some grit and the outstanding play of Ray Colby, thank goodness they hung on to win. But that shorthanded goal could have easily have killed the team spirit. But what I admired was their resiliency after that happened. And so they came back, they hung on, they stuck to their guns, and they pulled out the win against the division leaders. I like seeing that effort. I like seeing the heart that they showed throughout that game.
Yeah, I agree. Hannah, do you have any thoughts on either of those games that you wanted to share?
Well, shockingly, Gil and I have a difference of opinion, so I'm just going to say I watched the Kings game, and I thought they looked awful. I thought they looked tired. They looked lazy. I don't know if lazy is the right word, but it was that passing was off. They just didn't look like they were in sync, and I hated to see it. It was a painful game. I don't know. I almost feel
like Jonathan Quick is like, as soon as you hear that he's playing, it just throws our team off or something. I don't know. But I will say, when they played on Saturday night, that was Capitals team I wanted to see. I thought that they looked like they were more in sync, more together, more with it. Yeah, at the end, I was a little not thrilled, but I liked it. I liked everything that I saw about that game. The Kings game with the 2 goals in 9 seconds sucked, and it was. I felt like once that happened, that was it. We just kind of gave up.
Yeah, I agree. Do you have any questions about those two?
I'm ready to get to the Orpik debate because I'm pretty much done with this dude. Me and Robbie have had a intense conversation about Orpik. I'm saying bring Chorney up at least to the third pairing, go 7D, and let Orpik be the 7D. Get him 15 to 17 minutes because there's too many odd man rushes when he's out there. He's a -6 right now. You know he's not going to score, and he's taking bad penalties because he's slow and he's out of position most of the time. Yeah, he blocks shots. Yeah, he gets good hits. But by the time he's doing that, we're already down a goal or two because he already gave up a dumb penalty. What is your take on Orpik? Do you think that he needs to be, that Chorney needs to be brought up some more, or do you think that we're good where we are with Orpik? I'll go to Ann first.
Oh, I have to say, Carroll, you and I agree 100%. I've never been an Orpik fan. I know that there was an article about him today that I read in which was saying, oh, he's like the punching bag, whatever. Well, yeah, and there's reasons for it. I mean, he's got a 5-year, $27.5 million contract. I'm not seeing it. I think he looks tired. I've been to the Kettler practices, or a practice this year, and I told Gil, just sitting right there and seeing him as close as I did, he was frustrated, and when I'm seeing him frustrated in practice, doesn't give me a whole lot of hope to see him shine during the game. So I'm with you on this. I'm not a fan of his, and I'm ready for Chorney to come up.
What about you, Gil? What about you, Gil? How do you feel about Orpik?
Okay, well, all right. So I will preface everything with this. Orpik, no, he's not exactly my favorite player. I didn't like the term or the money in that contract. Now, that all said, though, I understand, yeah, he's, like I said before, he's 2 steps slower than he used to be, and that wasn't that fast to begin with. But he does have some value. It's been overstated in the media and by the team, but he does have some value as far as his leadership goes. Got a lot of young guys on the deep court coming up. Juice, Madison Bowie, guys like that. Orlov has learned a lot from Orpik's assistance and tutelage. So he's got some value there. He's going to have some value at least in the coming season or two until his contract finally expires. So he's got some value there. Is it worth the money? No, of course not. Is it worth him being out there any more than, say, 15 minutes a night? No, absolutely not.
And I'll agree. Sorry, Billy jumped in there, but I was just going to say, he brings stability, yes. Good mentor, yes. On the ice, not seeing it, not worth the money.
Well, he does, but he does provide much-needed leadership, and I think that's what this team got a lot younger in the off-season, and they're going to need that. But no, he should not be, as far as his time on the ice, no, he shouldn't be playing more than third pairing minutes at all, and he should definitely not be in critical situations.
Now, Gil, you brought up Orlov. Now, I agree, Orlov has improved defensively some, but that leadership, Orlov should not be still making some of the mistakes he makes. He's not clearing the puck sometimes when he has opportunity. He's taking the chances, and sometimes it pays off, which is great, but a majority of the times it doesn't. So I was hoping that Orpik would give him more of a balance defensively to know when to jump up and when to pinch in, and instead of him just going willy-nilly. Now, when he does it and he scores and when something good happens, great. But when he gets down below that line and a turnover and then Orpik is the last line of defense, it's trouble. So I understand the leadership, and we're going to speak about this in the Redskins hour with D'Angelo Hall and the leadership factor of yada, yada, yada. But leadership only goes so far if you're not producing on the ice. He's -6. 6. As a defenseman, that's embarrassing for the minutes that he's on that ice. So something has to be done. I understand the stability factor, but if we have these young guys that, are fast but not as big and sturdy, that's what's been beating us in the playoffs for you. These gritty, fast guys that are undersized, but they got mad heart that's out here outworking these big guys that they think they're going to overpower them. And maybe they might not be doing it down in Hershey, but Hershey is in Washington. And, the system is a little bit different up here. Trops maybe be able to inspire somebody to do something. I feel like that's the Washington area's problem, that we don't let our talent develop. What do you think about that?
Well, okay, so the stats don't lie. He's a -6, so yeah, that doesn't lie. It means he's on the ice and for a lot of goals against, and the back line is largely responsible for that. But at the same time, not to deflect, but at the same time, if you look at some of the replays of those goals, where are the forwards that are supposed to be back checking? Some of those goals, he's the only one back. Now, yeah, he's like we've been beaten to death here. He's not exactly fleet of foot, so he's getting beaten to the puck, which doesn't help. But you got to have your forwards back checking. I think they're relearning how to do that. They're coming back to that. So I think that's part of it. I'm not trying to be an Orphic defender here, but
no, that's a valid point. That's a very valid point.
As far as defense goes, it is a team effort. You can't put it all on just one guy.
True. How about you, man? What do you think about trying to get the younger guys some more minutes and trying to get some of that gritty speed that all these other teams that are beating the Capitals with, and maybe we can get some of that on our side too? We all saw Nathan Walker is gone, so
Well, we discussed this before, and I felt pretty strongly about, the chances of you making the NHL are like, 1 in 50,000 kind of thing. So I feel like if you get called up, you cut your ass off. That's it. That's because if you're not going to make it, and they're going to say, okay, well, maybe we'll give you another game. No, because there's 100 other guys that can take the place. But I do think with the Caps this year, they have a lot of players that are going to be good mentors and keep the kids, young guys, in line and be good mentors. So I don't know. I'm on the fence with the Orphic thing, but I think the balance between who Ovechkin has become over the last couple of years is it's amazing. I like who he's become. I think he's matured. I think Kuzi's the same way. My boy Tommy getting there. And that I don't know.
Hey! I'm a Tom Wilson fan too, so that's my man. I haven't got a hockey jersey yet, but when I finally do, it's going to be a 43 jersey. I'm letting y'all know that now.
I just teasing.
Yeah, you gave me a hard time about Tommy, and I come to his defense all the time. I love him. I think he's got a ton of potential, and he's grown up. He has grown up a lot. Yes, he's pulled off the glove. I love it. I'm always a fan, but I love it, and I think he's one that I love seeing that that he's making a name for himself, especially this year.
Yes, indeed.
And I've met him, and I think he's awesome. So,
well, in all seriousness, I do like the fact that he's getting opportunities on the top two lines. He's on the top line for this game against the Sharks, and I like seeing a little, adding the muscle to the hustle and getting him out there on a regular shift. He's not saying that's what I said.
Hi. How long were you sitting on that one?
It just came to me, honestly.
Okay.
Anyways, he's out there doing what he's supposed to do, which is making space, creating chances for Ovechkin and Caps. So that's a good thing. We said on, I think it was last week's show, we said He doesn't have to light up the scoreboard. He doesn't have to get points and assists and goals all the time. He just has to do what he does, which is make space, be tough to play against, get it done in the corners and along the boards, and let Ovechkin and Max do what they do.
Yeah, I agree. One thing that's interesting is as you guys are talking about him, and I think you heard Anna Saigas here, actually Tom Wilson, as we were talking about him, had a great play towards the net phase. He unfortunately didn't cash in there, but they got another drive here, just going just wide. But they're trying to cycle. They're putting some pressure on right now on the Sharks. And Tom Wilson, he just needs to work on finishing a little bit more. Oh, there's another huge opportunity right there for Nicholas. But Tom Wilson on the doorstep again. So they're buzzing in here in the offensive zone early, about 6.5 left in the first period. It's been a good back and forth game. It's 0-0, but there's been a lot of good play by both teams. I think the Caps are playing pretty well defensively, and they're getting a couple of chances here, a couple of rushes. They're trying to convert some defense into offense right now. But
I'm going to give a little left. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, I was going to say, I'm going to give some love to Grubauer. I am. I probably, very few people support him. There's something about the guy. I just want to give him a chance. And I think from the beginning of the season, I had said to Gil and a couple other people, when you lose and people start talking about you, it becomes mental. And once he gets that win under his belt, things are going to change, and he's going to play like the guy that we all know and love. And I feel like this game so far, he's looked amazing. So good for him.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can go back. You can go back to the beginning of the season when I first, me and Robbie covered the beginning of the season, that we all said that this wasn't going to be the same Caps team. So the goalies have a certain confidence, knowing that even if they make a mistake, that the team will probably get it back. So the fact that they know the team isn't as, let's say, offensively gifted as they were before, that now they're a little bit more critical, like you mentioned. And once he had that losing streak that he was in his head, so this is the one thing that has kind of confused me about Caps fans, that they've been successful for so long, and they know the moves that had to be made because of the salary cap, and they know this isn't the same team, but it seems like they get frustrated that it's up and down, like it's inconsistent, because they're still trying to find themselves. Even though it still has the same core, they have, like you said, a lot of young guys and a lot of rookies that's coming up that haven't had the NHL experience, so it's going to take some time to figure out who they are. We've seen the good, we've seen the bad, now they just have to get consistent with it.
I agree.
You're hitting our wheelhouse there at CP3. Ken and I had a to-do about this on last week's show, and I kind of took it a step further, took your opinion a step higher, and said that outright called a lot of Caps fans spoiled. And Anna, what did you think of that?
Absolutely not. I don't think that they are spoiled. I think they're frustrated. And that, to me, is there's a difference. Spoiled makes you sound entitled and like, I don't know, Penn fans or something. But I think
I mean, you have some teams that haven't made the playoffs in over 15 years. This team made the playoffs 8 out of 10 years, and you got fans talking about fire trots in the first 30 games of the season. I'm like, come on now, they have to find themselves. The Caps fans are spoiled because they've had Ovechkin, Backstrom, we've had people like Alex Simmons. We've had firepower here for a while now, for over a decade with Alex. And unfortunately, it hasn't cashed in the Stanley Cup, which is one of the hardest championships to win. But it takes more than one. And we all know this team hasn't had secondary scoring, and it's dependent on the power play. So we all know this team had faults. And we became accustomed to this team being number one and putting up all these goals and looking fancy and highlight reel. But now that it's getting tough and it's not certain what this team is, folks want to complain. I'm like, you got to remember, we had some good times, even though we haven't had a chance to raise the cup. This team has played outstanding, even though they haven't won the big game.
I don't know. I don't know. I think spoiled for some reason. It just irks me. I think people are just like, I just think spoiled, and I think, fans that you just can't stand, who jump on the bandwagon, that kind of thing. I just feel like we're frustrated. Like, I won't, bring up skins and whatever. It's like DC mentality kind of thing going on, but it's like, come on, you're frustrated, yes, but like any other team, you're in a state of transition, and that's where we're at right now, and we're doing the best we can. And isn't it going to be awesome when we see the lines come together, you see the chemistry, you see the consistency, and we were there from the beginning rooting for them whether they won or lost. That to me is like, you're frustrated fans who are like, I don't know about this line. Spoiled? I don't agree with it. I don't think the DC fans are spoiled.
I see your point.
I'm sorry, I got to disagree, because, like we said on our show, a lot of fans expect the Caps to win games 6-1 every game. They expect somebody to get a hat trick every game, and the opposition to not make too many moves across the red line and just be dominant every game. That days gone.
Ooh.
Spoiled. See a team that is like, oh yeah, we've got the cup so many times. Whatever happens. To me, it's like when it's expected and they just know it's going to happen. That to me sounds more spoiled than fans who just really want to see like the Alex Ovechkin, raise the trophy and be like, hell yeah, you got it, you deserved it. We've been a fan since 04 or whatever. So I don't know. I think spoiled, maybe that's just that word that I just don't like.
Well, as we've been having this conversation, it's been Tom Wilson and Alex Ovechkin had two great scoring chances. Unfortunately, they didn't score. And this has been a very entertaining and great game with both of these teams trying to impose their will and get that first goal. I can't wait to see who gets the first goal.
There we go.
All right.
There we go. I guess I'm a little bit behind y'all. That's what I'm talking about. Caps up 1-0.
was involved in that one. Yes, he is. There you go.
There we go.
It's Callie. Nice. Well, I did too. Here we go. Here's the highlight.
Yeah, I heard y'all react before I got to see it, so I knew it was coming.
Carlson
with a point shot.
there you go.
Bring the net.
Beautiful.
Oh, massive tip. Like beautiful.
It's been right into the upper left corner.
Nice.
By Devontae.
I want to ask that guy.
That's beautiful.
I love it.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how they scored against Columbus, net front presence, man. And that's what this team has to do. It's not about all the passing. You got to get somebody in front of the net.
And that's where Tommy needs to step up. But yes, I agree with you. That's good. And I was just listening to your comments about how opportunities that have been missed, and I thought, God, I hope this isn't one of these, 1-0, 2. And oh boy, here we go. Yeah, this is good. They look, what? It's good. It's a fast game. They're going to be tired tonight. Exciting.
Yeah,
That's all right. As long as they keep it.
yeah, they got to keep it up. It's going to be like a marathon of these sort of small sprints. It's going to be interesting to see, who can control the possession and, who can really take it to whom in this game. And I'm hoping that our crowd noise can be there for us. I know that sometimes on Monday nights, I can see that some of the seats are open. I wish, I love going to Caps games during the weekdays, but I know some days it's not quite as full. But hopefully people that are there can really get these Caps through this, because it's going to be a bit of a grind-out game. I mean, the Sharks are a tough team. They're always a tough out, and they seem to always play the Caps really well. Unfortunately, they're right now buzzing in our zone, but a great play to sort of just get out of the zone there, and we're trying to mount an attack ourselves. 3-on-3 is a shot that was deflected wide and out of the zone, but it's a great play, both plays.
Yeah, and you know what? There you go, right there, drawing us. That's who, when we're talking about speed and who's going to be able to keep it up.
That was going to be my next question to you guys. Well, how do you like how he's been developing so far? I believe he has 7 goals on the season. He had a 2-goal game a couple of games ago. How do you think that he's developing, being on that second line with Kuzi now, Gil?
Him and Kuzi definitely got some good chemistry going. I like how he goes to the net. as long as he keeps that up. What I'm afraid of with him, he's a little small for my liking, so what I'm afraid of with him is maybe his first, he hasn't really gotten hit that hard yet. At least I haven't seen him absorb a check yet. So I'm just afraid he might become a little gun shy whenever that happens. But for right now, I like his speed. I like how he goes to the net. He's been developing well. Unfortunately, probably not going to challenge for the Palmer. You got some other big names already in the race, but I think it wouldn't be surprised. A good scoring chance there. Wouldn't be surprised if he finishes with something like 15 to 20 goals, which would be a pretty good first season for him.
Nicky out there fighting, boy. Nicky out there fighting. And the same question to you about Ron.
I like him. I think, he's only like 5'10" or something. He is so fast, and he's got mad skills. I love watching the guy, and I feel like he was one of those players in the beginning that I think did get a little gun shy, maybe a little intimidated being with, playing NHL, and rightfully so, but he also stepped up, which is why he's playing tonight. And I think all I can say, and I'm going to plug it again, anyone picks on him, Tommy will be there to take out the other guys, so that's it. So he'll be fine. He'll be fine. He's not a fighter, but he's quick, and I think he's going to do a really great job at the Caps this year.
Cool. I hope so.
Real quickly, I just wanted to get your guys' quick thoughts on the two upcoming games. I know we've only got just a couple minutes left, about 3 minutes left of Caps Talk, which will correspond with the intermission right here. We've got Chicago upcoming Wednesday, December 6th at 8 p.m., and the Rangers Friday, December 8th. I know we've got a big fan here, Brian Brenner. We'll talk next week about that Rangers game, maybe a little bit also in this overtime at 9 o'clock about it as well. So Rangers at 7, Chicago at 8 on Wednesday, so Rangers are on Friday. Some big matchups sort of to end this long 5-game homestand. We're in the dead center of it right now. I'll start with Gil. What are your thoughts on Chicago and the Rangers?
Well, Chicago, I'm not going to say that's an easy game. Of course, there's the 3-time Stanley Cup winners. They still got that solid core, ever dangerous Kane and Taves. But they're a little banged up, and they're struggling a bit this year. Corey Crawford, their goalie, just got put on the IR. So might be an opportunity. I'm not going to say it's going to be an easy 2 points. It never, ever is. But that's a good opportunity for a win if they can come out just not assuming anything. Rangers, it's going to be a little different. It's always a bit of yin-yang with those guys. You never know what you're going to get. So I don't know. That one's going to be a tough call. Lundqvist has been a little bit more on his game. I think he's seeing the light at the end of the tunnel as far as his career goes. So he's taking one more kick at the can. So he's been pretty tough this year. So that might be a little tough as far as offensive goes. But there'll be two very interesting games, I think. But need to get all 4 points in that because he just start climbing out of the wild card slot to make some moves.
I agree.
Oh, wow.
Well, wait for it. Is this the full moon or something? I agree, guys.
Sorry. Go ahead. Must be because I didn't think it worked this much in a month.
Yeah, this is kind of crazy. We're going to have to end this and just put it on hold for a little bit because I'm see, this is too weird. But no, I think when you come back on, I think hear who their players are and stuff like that. But I think that the fact that we're playing the next games are home, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's going to work in our advantage, and I think Holtby will be rested. I think they know what they're getting themselves into. It's not going to be easy, and it's probably not going to be pretty. But I'll be watching.
Enjoyed having all four of us chop it up together, and I really appreciate all you contributed and the shout-outs on your show, and we'll definitely have to do something. Maybe I'll find a way to come on your show also, so we'll figure it out. I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate the time.
Love to do it, yeah. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Love talking to y'all. Definitely, I'm gonna try to get on there too. My schedule's kind of hectic, but we'll see what we can do. We can get on y'all's show too, and have another round table.
that would be great. I love it. And happy 80th episode to you guys, and thanks again for everything tonight. It was great.
All right, y'all have a good night. I'm gonna go ahead and end this Capitals Talk Facebook Live feed now.